4. A meeting of many tribes. Days after the pale-faced boy arrived in the village, 6 strange people stood outside the village at daybreak, still as statues, waiting to be acknowledged. The elders were notified and a wordless meeting ensued. The strangers used gestures to mime their request, which was not difficult to figure out with the boy's recent arrival. They looked just like him, covered head to toe in cloth the color of charcoal, which was loose except at the neck, wrists, and ankles, which were wound tight in bands of colorful wrapping. Their faces were pale, like the boy's, and under their hoods, Sharn saw eyes of light blue, green, and gray. Sharn's uncle, the chief, nodded to Sharn's father, who nodded to Sharn, who went and retrieved the boy whom everyone called Pale Face. The boy was in Sharn's family's roundhouse, where he had lived since his arrival, hiding under a blanket. Sharn felt guilty, but said, "Come, Pale Face." The boy sighed, threw off the blanket, and stood. They walked out to the edge of the village where a large group had formed around the strange travelers. The strangers recognized the boy at once. One of the men spoke to him with stern words. The boy stared at the ground as he joined them. The one who had spoken nodded to the assembled Kuali-Dane. Then the strange group turned and walked away into the forest. The boy went with them. A few days after the strange boy left with his strange people, the whole village packed up and traveled south. A meeting was to take place unlike any other in the lifetime of anyone alive, a meeting of many tribes. For days, the people of Sharn's village canoed south along the river. The days grew ever longer as summer settled in. Soon, Sun Spirit would banish nights altogether until the autumn, when the land would welcome Moon Spirit back again. Daylight would disappear, and the land would live in darkness until the following spring, when the cycle would begin again. When they reached the top of Weevik's Snout, the second greatest waterfall known to the Kuali-Dane, they dragged the canoes up on shore and continued their journey by foot. The river flowed west, but they walked south, over prairie and hill, through forest and stream, always toward the towering mountain peak they called Beaks of Two Birds, the furthest south the Kuali-Dane ever ventured. Sharn could not believe his eyes as they neared the base of the mountain. All kinds of people were arrayed along the plains and foothills. Each tribe occupied its own area, judging by the colors and styles of clothing and tents, but he saw much intermingling of people along the edges. As they approached the gathering, Sharn saw a rider upon a large, bulbous creature with 12 thin legs like sticks and a hide-like armor. The legs blurred together, moving almost too fast to see. The creature was called a Tukbi, and while unappreciated among his own people, was often employed for travel and work further south, where the land was more open and the air more dry. Tukbi could go days without water, carry heavy loads, and move a little faster than a full-grown man at a walking pace. But they were stubborn, hard to control, and easily spooked. The rider led his Tukbi toward the envoy of Kuali-Dane. He held his spear high above his head, horizontal and sideways, a sign of non-aggression. "Hail, travelers!" he called in heavily accented Kuali. "I, Hoktikuth, greet you with the warmest feelings of my people, the Scrimchi, whose lands you now walk and whose hospitality you now receive. Welcome." Chief Tiwekto nodded his head low, then said, "Greetings and many thanks, Hoktikuth of the Scrimchi. We honor you as you honor us. We are a river village of the Puhreti New, of the lands of the Pureti Dain, of the Kuali-Dane people. I am Tiwekto. We are very pleased to be here in your lands, amid this great gathering." He nodded his head low again. The rider's eyes lit up as Sharn's uncle spoke. "Ooh, hoo, hoo!" Hoktikuth hooted. "We have a skilled speaker here. You do your people proud. They are over there." He pointed with his spear toward a giant area of mostly brown tents. "All the other Quali Dane who have arrived so far." Many hundreds of people were gathered there. All the Quali in one place, Sharn realized. One of the strongest tribes in all the land. "Where are the Kote?" Chief Tiwekto asked, straight to the point. Hoktikuth stared down at Tiwekto from his perch atop the Tukbi. Without speaking, he swung his spear around and pointed in the other direction. Sharn looked and saw another tribe, one who looked almost the same as the Quali Dane. Similar in number, similar in language, similar in so many ways, and yet so different. Chief Tiwekto nodded. "If you need anything," Hoktikuth said, "come find me. This is what I look like." He gestured to himself with both hands. His hair was streaked with white powder, and his face was marked with white lines and dots. Sharn wondered if all the Scrimchi looked like that, or just this one. "Many thanks again," Chief Tiwekto said. "We will settle ourselves and greet the others of our tribe." Hoktikuth bowed and turned his giant animal in a slow circle, then continued on in a wide perimeter around the gathering. Sharn heard his father say to his uncle, "He's an interesting character, that one." Sharn's uncle laughed. Sharn's cousin Kuchio tapped him on the shoulder. Sharn had not seen his cousin for hours, so spread out was their group. "Look," Kuchio said, pointing at a tribe to their left. "Those are Rasi. They are one of the desert tribes who send the women to fight and hunt, while the men stay back in the village." Sharn saw clusters of grim-looking people gathered around cook fires, with very few shelters among them. Most wore strange robes. Their hair was lighter in color than his own people's, and done up in strange ways. Some had their hair sticking up like prairie grass. Others tied behind their heads in braids like the tail of a fish, or braided in a necklace from one side of their head to the other. He could not help but stare. "They are right next to us," Sharn said, seeing that the Rasi camp ended where the Quali camp began. "Why do they send the women to fight and hunt?" Kuchio shook his head. "I don't know. They are strange. I wonder if they think we are as strange." "No, cousin. Our ways are the best ways. We are the normal ones." Kuchio smiled. Sharn could not tell whether it was a joke or a statement. Finally, the people of Sharn's village stopped. The elders went to greet the elders of the other villages and clans. Everyone else set down their burdens and laid on the grass to rest. There were a few trees about, but not many. "Quick," Kuchio said, "let's lay under that tree before someone else does." They went to the closest tree, small but shady enough for them to lie under, side by side, mostly in the shade. Others came to lay under it too, but Kuchio and Sharn had the best spots. No roots, and on the north side where the shade would last longest. Sharn put his hands behind his head and closed his eyes. Nothing better after a day's long walk than a well-earned nap. He heard rustling in the branches above him and opened his eyes. He saw the sharp end of a spear pointed at his forehead. Every instinct in his body wanted to move or shout, but he knew better than to let his startle reflex take control. Beyond the spear point, he saw a pair of eyes, golden brown and wild, like the hair that haloed the face they belonged to. Sharn realized the person holding the spear was crouching on a branch of the tree above him. He had not even noticed them. The person in the tree smiled down at him, then soundlessly dropped from their perch, landing beside Sharn. It was a girl, or a woman, but only just. She appeared to be around the same age as he and Kuchio. She held her spear upright now, not pointed at Sharn any longer. Still smiling, she patted her chest, said, "Tenka." She nodded, then did it again. "Tenka." Kuchi-o bolted upright, said, "Who are you?" "It's okay," Sharn said. "I think her name is Tenka. I think she is Rasi." Tenka nodded. "Razi," then said something else Sharn could not understand. "What does she want?" his cousin asked. "I don't know," Sharn said, "but she about scared the living spirit out of me." She pointed at the Rasi camp and said more things they did not understand. Then she waved at them and walked away in the direction she had pointed. "I can't wait to go home," Kuchi-o said. "Too many people here and all of them strange." Sharn felt it too, but he also felt a thrill he had not felt before, the thrill of so many different kinds of people all in one place. He laid back down, smiling, and fell asleep.